Men say they want attention, but the moment you stop chasing, something changes. Psychologists now confirm exactly why, and it comes down to these 9 things. Men often say they want consistency, attention, and availability, and to some extent, they do. However, human nature plays by a different set of rules, especially when it comes to desire. When what was once constant suddenly becomes rare, the brain interprets it differently. That's when the emotional chemistry shifts from comfort to curiosity, and from assumption to pursuit. And this is all about understanding how presence and absence work together to create real value in a connection. These 9 principles explain exactly why stepping back draws men in more than running toward them ever could. 1. Scarcity creates value. The less available you are, the more his brain assigns worth to you. This isn't just opinion, it's the scarcity principle in action. Human beings naturally crave what is uncertain or harder to get. When you are always chasing him, replying instantly, or rearranging your life to fit his, there's no scarcity. Everything is predictable, and predictability lowers urgency. When you step back, that changes. Suddenly he starts thinking, if she's not chasing me, maybe others are. That thought alone can activate a subtle sense of competition in his mind. The possibility that someone else might have your attention triggers him to pay closer attention himself. It's not about creating jealousy, but about showing that you have your own life, and your attention is something to be earned. Over time, that scarcity transforms into respect. He realizes that your time is valuable because you treat it that way. He starts showing up differently, not because you demanded it, but because your behavior set a higher standard. That shift in how he perceives your worth changes how much effort he's willing to invest. 2. Mystery activates his imagination. When you don't chase, you naturally reveal less. And when you reveal less, his imagination does more of the work. He starts filling in the gaps, often creating a version of you in his mind that's even more intriguing than reality. Men fall for the image they build, not what's handed to them. If you give him every detail of your thoughts, schedule, and emotions too quickly, there's nothing left for his mind to explore. On the other hand, when you let things unfold slowly, he becomes curious about what you're doing, who you're spending time with, and what you're thinking. This curiosity keeps his attention because the story isn't complete yet. Mystery doesn't mean being secretive or cold. It means letting him discover you over time. That gradual reveal gives him space to invest emotionally while keeping the excitement alive. It's the difference between a movie trailer that shows everything and one that leaves you eager to see more. 3. You trigger his hunter instinct. Men are wired through evolution to pursue, not to receive everything without effort. Chasing flips that dynamic, putting you in the role of the pursuer instead of the prize. When you stop chasing, something shifts in his subconscious. He senses a challenge, and challenge naturally fuels desire. That's why challenge equals desire. If everything is too easy, the thrill fades. By stepping back, you allow him the space to take action, to plan, to initiate. And in doing so, he experiences the satisfaction that comes from pursuit, a satisfaction that makes the connection feel more meaningful to him. This doesn't mean playing hard to get. It means understanding that allowing someone to come toward you builds a stronger emotional pull than running toward them. It's about balance, receiving his effort without overcompensating with your own. 4. You signal emotional security. A woman who doesn't chase communicates without words. I'm not desperate, I'm whole. That quiet confidence is magnetic. It shows that your happiness and sense of self aren't dependent on his validation. Men detect neediness quickly. When they sense it, they often pull back, not because they dislike attention, but because it signals instability. Confidence, on the other hand, feels safe. It suggests you can handle yourself, and that you're with him because you choose to be, not because you need to be. Emotional security allows you to set boundaries without fear of losing someone. It gives him space to step up instead of feeling pressured. And in the long run, it makes any relationship more stable, because both people are contributing from a place of wholeness, not lack. 5. Your attention feels earned, not given. When a man has to work for your time, it changes how he values it. If your attention is freely given without effort on his part, it becomes something he takes for granted. But when it's earned, it becomes something he's careful not to lose. From a psychological perspective, people place more importance on what they've invested effort into. If he's reaching out, planning dates, or making sure he stays in your life, he's investing. That investment makes him feel connected on a deeper level because he's building something rather than just receiving it. The more energy he puts into earning your attention, the more meaning he attaches to the connection. On your end, this keeps the relationship balanced. When attention is given freely without any sign of effort from him, it can start to feel one-sided and draining. By stepping back and letting him initiate, you're giving him the opportunity to meet you halfway, or show you he's not willing to, which tells you everything you need to know. 6. You break his ego loops. Most women chase, so when you don't, it disrupts his expected script. He's used to attention feeding his ego. When that pattern is broken, his thoughts shift to, why isn't she chasing? Am I not enough? That question doesn't weaken his interest, it strengthens it. Men expect women to respond with enthusiasm, chase for clarity, or make sure the connection stays alive. When you don't do that, you interrupt his normal pattern. That interruption forces him to think differently, and it can be surprisingly powerful. Instead of feeling certain about your interest, he starts to question it. That question doesn't necessarily mean insecurity in a negative way. It means his mind is now engaged in figuring you out. It's the same psychological pull as when something doesn't fit the pattern you're used to. Your brain keeps coming back to it until it makes sense. This mental loop can make him pay more attention, reach out more often, and invest more energy into the connection. It's not about manipulating him, it's about removing yourself from the cycle of overgiving, which naturally shifts the focus back onto him. By doing less chasing, you allow space for his curiosity and desire to grow without constant reassurance from you. 7. You stay in your feminine energy. Chasing is a form of pursuit, and pursuit is traditionally a masculine energy. When you stop chasing, you stay rooted in your feminine energy, receptive, confident, and magnetic. This creates polarity, which is a natural tension that fuels attraction. In relationships, polarity works like a magnet. One side leans in, the other receives, and the attraction between them grows. Feminine energy is not about doing nothing. It's about allowing space for someone else to step toward you. When you hold your position instead of pushing forward, you create polarity, the natural pull between different energies. That polarity is what often reignites attraction and keeps it alive over time. Men tend to lean in more when they feel that space to move toward you, rather than feeling they're being pulled or pushed into action. This is why taking a step back doesn't weaken the connection. In many cases, it strengthens it, because it allows the dynamic to rebalance in a way that feels natural rather than forced. 8. You trigger curiosity, not control. The more he knows, the less he's intrigued. Familiarity without depth can dull attraction. When you remain unpredictable in a natural way, by having your own life, your own plans, and your own priorities, his brain can't neatly categorize you. That uncertainty makes him think, she's not like the others. And when someone stands out, our brains pay more attention. Curiosity becomes a form of emotional investment, and investment builds attachment. The more predictable you are, the easier it is for someone to mentally file you away. When you stop chasing, you naturally become less predictable, and that unpredictability triggers curiosity. Instead of feeling he already knows everything about you, he starts to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, and what you're thinking. This is not about being secretive or creating drama. It's about living your life in a way that doesn't revolve around keeping him updated. When he realizes you have your own plans, passions, and priorities, his interest shifts from comfort to curiosity. And curiosity is a powerful driver in attraction because it keeps the mind engaged in wanting more. When he can't put you into a neat category, he starts to think about you more. That thought process often builds a stronger emotional connection because it's rooted in intrigue rather than control. He's not certain of every move you'll make, and that uncertainty keeps him engaged in figuring it out. 9. You prove you have standards. Not chasing sends a clear message. You choose, you don't beg. That stance places you in a position of psychological authority. It signals that you're evaluating him just as much as he's evaluating you. When he feels that, the dynamic changes. If she doesn't need me, maybe I need her. That shift flips the usual power balance in his mind. He realizes your presence is something that must be earned, not assumed. Standards create a natural filter. The people who can't or won't meet them will fade out on their own, while the ones who truly want to be there will step up. This is not about being demanding. It's about being clear. When you're clear on what you need and you hold to it, you give men the opportunity to rise to meet you rather than dragging them along. From a psychological standpoint, this puts you in a position of authority in the dynamic. Not the kind of authority that controls, but the kind that commands respect. When a man sees that you don't need him to validate your worth, he's more likely to value what it would mean to be chosen by you. It's not that men love playing games, it's that they love the feeling of earning something rare. When you stop chasing, you create space for that rarity to be seen and appreciated. You shift the dynamic from proving your worth to showing it through how you carry yourself and what you accept. Every step back you take from chasing is a step toward a connection that's based on mutual effort, respect, and choice. And in that space, you don't have to fight for someone's attention. It naturally comes to you from the ones who truly want to give it. When you understand that value doesn't need to shout to be recognized, you stop running after people who need convincing. Instead, you become the person who others want to move toward, not because you demanded it, but because you inspired it. And that's the point. The moment you stop chasing, you stop being an option. You start being the prize. If you have made it this far, comment down below with the word 100% to confirm that you have received the knowledge from this video. For more interesting topics, make sure you watch the recommended video that you see on the screen right now. Thanks for watching.